Hello, lovely people. How are you? It's Nicola back in the Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. It's so nice to be able to say that again. I did have a wonderful week away, but it's so nice to be home as well. Back to my own kitchen, my own bathroom, and my own bed. Feels so good. Flannelette sheets that we put on just before we went away, so they're nice and cozy. Different clothes, because you really get bored with a very limited wardrobe when you're on holiday. Well, I do anyway. It's like, I'm sick of this. Let me get home, put something else on. And preparing food with all your own herbs and spices to hand. Having said that, I didn't actually make dinner today. My youngest son did, so that was nice. Whew. So I want to apologize first for possibly hasty editing while I was away. It was a little tricky. I didn't have Wi-Fi where I was staying, as you know. And so I was able to do some editing offline, but not add music. And so what happened was that I would do some footage and I would try and get it edited as far as possible. And then when I got to a place with Wi-Fi, I had to go back and add music in, make sure it was the right volume, put it all together in a way that made sense, export it, save it, upload it, everything, you know. And the trouble with that is it meant I wasn't really being completely present when with my family, which was a little bit of a pity, really. But when Mr. Stitches and I were at the care home with my mum, we sort of took turns to talk to her while the other one did the stuff on the phone that needed to be done, checking in with different things, dealing with the YouTube stuff and all that sort of thing, and checking in, trying to check in for our flights on Friday, but that wasn't really doable, unfortunately. So yes, a couple of times I did end up doing a 2-day vlog rather than a daily one. But I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed seeing the island of Jersey. Apart from the main town, St. Helier, it is very picturesque, very pretty. The little lanes, country lanes, are all very green and rural. And I always enjoy driving around, reacquainting myself with the beaches, the coastline, getting lost somewhere in the middle in all the lanes. You know, even if you've lived there all your life, you don't always know every single road. There's so many small roads there. The island may only be 9 miles by 5, but there are lots of roads. There's also lots of cars. A long time ago, it was said that Jersey had the most cars per capita. I don't know if that's still true, but as soon as you get near town, it gets a bit slow. And we hit town about 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon, which is rush hour, of course. And Mr. Stitches had to drop me off at a hotel for a quiz night that my sister was organising. Had a great time at the quiz night. She works for an organisation that raises money for differently abled people. And so they're always arranging events like that. Of course, there were 20 teams, and our team, being that they were office members, couldn't officially win. And so when I said to my sister I was a little bit doubtful about whether I should be in this quiz night in case I wasn't very good. She said, it doesn't matter because we can't win anyway. The trophy has to go to somebody from outside the organisation, otherwise it would look a little dodgy. And I thought, okay, the pressure's off. And as it turned out, we tied for second place. So that was awesome. It was a good night. Of course, it meant that I didn't get to bed until about midnight, and we had to be up at 6 the next morning to get ready and go to the airport. As I said, it's absolutely lovely being back home. And we had a pleasant day today. Of course, we said, oh, we can sleep as long as we like. We don't have to rush and get out of bed early. But we still woke up early. We got to bed around 12:30 a.m. because we didn't land until about 11 p.m. And by the time our son had picked us up, driven us home, we unloaded our bags, had a cup of tea, not caffeinated tea, I hasten to add. And I had a shower because you get so manky when you're traveling. You get too hot, too cold. You have the same pair of shoes and socks on for 24 hours. That's how long it took us to get home, was 24 hours. And it just felt gross. So I had a shower before I went to bed as well. And I was still up around 7, which actually worked out because I had plans for today. Nothing too onerous. I had plans to do laundry, and I did do 4 loads of laundry. But I also wanted to bake cupcakes. A friend of mine turned 60 today. And before I went away, I had a box of goodies ready for her with some birthday cake candles, a sparkler, 2 sparklers, 6 and 0. Found these sparklers at the dollar store, which were perfect. And a banner and a card and some British Rose products from the Body Shop and a couple of sachets of loose leaf tea. And so today I knew I needed to make some cupcakes, and I made a dozen, obviously, because you can't make less than a dozen, or fewer than a dozen, maybe should be. Ooh, Mr. Stitches will give me a hard time if I've used less instead of fewer. My grammar, what's the word? Pedantry has rubbed off on him over the years. Anyway, what was I saying? I made a dozen cupcakes, and I ended up making some chocolate vanilla marbled ones with a vanilla fluffy frosting. A vanilla buttercream frosting. And I had to pop up to the shop to get a couple of essentials from there because I did not have enough icing sugar, not something I use more than probably once every 3 years. And I also bought a bar of chocolate because I wanted to chop up the chocolate and sprinkle it on top of the frosting after I had topped the cupcakes. And so I gave 4 to my friend because there's only her and her husband, and they probably wouldn't want more than 4. But I put them in a little box and pink tissue paper and stuff like that. And the other 8 are being demolished by my family, so that works out. We also, of course, went down to our favorite tea shop to catch up with the people who work there and have a nice cuppa. I had my raspberry matcha latte, which I absolutely love. And Mr. Stitches had, I don't even know, I didn't even hear what he ordered, but he had some sort of green tea, as he always does. So that was nice. And as I said, my youngest son cooked dinner, and now Mr. Stitches and I are feeling pretty knackered. He was dozing off over the keyboard of his laptop just before. And I felt like I could have done if I had stayed on the couch. But I thought I'd better get down here and chat to you guys because Vlogtober happens regardless of jet lag. So I wanted to dress comfortably today, and I picked out this grey turtleneck, which I know I was fixing just before the holiday, but I didn't end up taking with me. I did splatter grease all over it when I was making frosting, so please excuse any spots on the front. And I've got my leggings on, so it's been a nice, relaxing, almost pajama day, but, presentable enough for going out. And I put this long cardigan on, and I've hardly worn this. I made this a long time ago. Am I going to stand on the chair? I think I'm going to stand on the chair again. So here we go. Let's see if you can see this. It has neon yellow on the pockets and a neon yellow stripe. It has an orange half sleeve and an orange stripe, and a pink half sleeve and a pink stripe. And that was all Red Hot Super Saver, I think. No, the grey is Red Hot Super Saver, and the neons were, if I remember right, Craft Smart from Michaels. And I made this on my Bond, really basic knitting machine. What do they call them these days? Ultimate Sweater Machine, but it's older than that. I have a Ravelry project page for it if you want to go check out that. I always link my Ravelry account underneath every video. So if you want to go and check out my project notes for that, you can go and see what I used and how I did it. Not sure how extensive my notes are. I'm pretty sure I did all the ribbing by hand. So what I had to do, once I knitted the pieces and attached the pocket and woven in ends and stuff, is I had to pick up stitches all the way around and down. This thing comes down almost to my ankles. And it was just the perfect thing to wear today. It was a damp, cool day, very grey for most of it. And having this to cozy up in today has just been the ultimate comfort. It's been lovely. Forecast for this week is looking like 11 maximum, maybe 10, 11 for daytimes, and down to 0 at night, at least one night down to 0. So getting pretty cold, and there's a lot more fall colour in the leaves. I'm going to do more walks this week and try and catch as much of the fall colour as possible. I have plans to meet my friend on Tuesday for a walk, and I will definitely be looking out for as many reds and golds and browns as possible to highlight this lovely time of the year. As you know, I just love this time of the year. I'm a little brain dead right now. I keep starting to say something and then having to restart. So it's going to be a fair bit of editing for this. My knitting project while I was on holiday. This is how far it got in the end. I haven't measured it. Let me just do a very quick measure. I like to use my hand for measuring sometimes. So that's about 7 inches, a bit more maybe. This is called the Oats cowl. And it's made in the round, and then most of it's stockinette, but then there's a garter panel right here, and there's knit one, purl one rib at the top and the bottom. So this was my travel project. I just took the one ball of the Serta Jewel spun with me, which is in its yarn bra right now, so that it was easy to stuff in my backpack when I was wanting to carry it with me. And some days I didn't need it, so I would just pull it out and leave it at the house. And I love the way this looks, and I knew it would look lovely in stockinette. The hoodie Saurus I did in garter, and then those spines that I did in stockinette just looked so appealing that I wanted to have stockinette in this. Normally, I would probably have gone for something crocheted as a travel project, because it's so easy just to throw a crochet hook in your bag compared to 2 needles. Much less pointy and a lot less breakable as well. But I was very self-controlled, shall we say, because I just took one ball of yarn. Admittedly, it was a big one. It's like 200 grams. And I took 3 sets of tips and a couple of cables, and I'm really glad I took 2 cables because one of them wasn't threaded right. There was some damage to the thread, and I was going to use a shorter cable and not have to do magic loop, but one of the tips wouldn't screw on properly. So luckily I had the longer cable with me and it screwed on better. And when it came time to change from the smaller needle to the larger needle, I just changed one tip, the working tip in my right hand, and left the thinner tip in my left hand. Works fine. I have to remember to change back to the thinner needle for the ribbing to finish. Will I remember? Possibly not. When I transitioned from the ribbing to the stockinette, I had done probably a round and a half before I realized I had forgotten to go up to the bigger needle. Yep. So this pattern, Oats, is by TinCanKnits. I think it's part of their simple collection. It's free. If you go to Ravelry, you can see all their designs. Quite a few of them are free. And this Oats cowl, you can make in just a narrow one like this. I didn't do a gauge swatch, but it's coming out the right size. Just it fits closely to the neck. Or you can make it a lot bigger and then double it. And there's a hat that has the same sort of feature, which is called barley. Hopefully there's a barley that has maybe a DK version of it. This is quite a thin worsted. It's a British Aran, which I call a thin worsted, and it would probably work quite well with a DK pattern. So I'm hoping there's a DK barley and I could make a matching hat. So TinCanKnits has their own app, and I can't remember how I found out. I think that was probably I was reading the pattern page or their designer page on Ravelry. Found out they had the app. I downloaded it before I traveled, and so free patterns like this are in the app, and you can use the app to track your project. Obviously, I use Ravelry to track all my projects anyway, but it was really nice to have the app to be able to refer back to the pattern. Although I did need to be online for that. It would not let me in if I was offline. But it was a really simple pattern. I think it was just cast on 96 stitches with the smaller needle, knit for 1.5 inches, change to the bigger needle, knit until it's all about 8.5 inches, back to the smaller needle, and then another 1.5 inches of ribbing. And then this section here of the garter, you just have to put the markers in and alternate knit and purl for it to come out as garter. Very simple. I would recommend this one to anybody. And even a beginner could do this as long as they're paying attention for that garter section. You just have to pay attention. And if you're using markers, it's easy to see where you have to change. So I've really been enjoying that. But yeah, I surprised myself in that I didn't finish it because I had so much to do with visiting family and doing puzzles and reading ebooks that I didn't need to do a lot of knitting. I finished the ebook by Stephen King. Yes, Stephen King. Brain fart. And it was called Holly, and I really enjoyed that. And I started another book, and I can't for the life of me remember what it was, but I had downloaded 2 ebooks from my local library before I went away, and I started the second one. And interestingly, it's set in St. Lucia in the Caribbean, or Caribbean. I always feel like I should pronounce it Caribbean. 1 R, 2 B's. Makes sense, right? And that's where Mr. Stitches and I got married. And so it's kind of cool reading about this, this case that happened. It's a novel. It's a murder, as these things are. But it's set in somewhere I've actually been, even though it's quite exotic. It's probably the most exotic place I've ever been. We went there for 3 weeks and got married at the same time. So that was fun. And that was all the way back in 1987. A long time ago. So what with the ebook and the knitting, I had plenty to do. And I don't know if you remember, before I went away, I said I had subscribed to the New York Times app. I had just been playing the free versions of the games. And I know it kept saying, oh, subscribe for unlimited play. It's only $2.99 a month. And I thought, oh, well, that's only 10 cents a day. And I'm really enjoying these games. And it would be nice to be able to just play for half an hour if I wanted, instead of just doing one. Well, it didn't quite work out how I expected. When they said unlimited play, I thought it meant, oh, okay, so you can play this game, different versions of it, like different, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, different puzzles for like as long as you like. So in other words, if I wanted to do the mini crossword more than once a day, I thought I could do 10 mini crosswords. And the same with the spelling bee, and the same with the other one and the other one. No, it didn't work out like that. The only difference it seemed to be was I was doing the 7-day free trial, and I had said I was going to subscribe, but I was still within the 7-day free trial. And the bigger crossword just has really weird clues and answers in it, and I just found it really hard. The spelling bee one, which kept cutting me off at about 25 points and wouldn't let me go any further. Okay, I quite enjoyed being able to do that for as long as I wanted, but it was still just the one puzzle, and all of the others were just one time. So for each day, you only got to play once. And I thought, what am I really getting here for my $2.99 a month? Barely anything. So before the 7-day trial ended, I cancelled. I never actually ended up paying anything. And while we were grocery shopping one day, we saw the Puzzler magazines in the shop. And I said to Mr. Stitches, okay, a holiday is not a holiday without a Puzzler magazine. We have to buy one. So we threw one in the shopping basket. And the funny thing was that later that same day, we went to visit my mum. And she asked us if we wanted a Puzzler magazine because she had finished the crosswords in it she liked. There was tons of it she hadn't done, but she didn't want to do anymore, and she was just going to throw it out. So we said, oh, good, we'll take it off your hands. And luckily, it was not the same one that we already had bought. So now we have 2 Puzzler magazines to finish, and that'll last us probably weeks because they're big. There's a lot to do in there. So I'm really chuffed about that. I don't know whether I actually followed through on showing you the fish that I bought, the ceramic fish. I thought I told you the day I bought them that I was going to pop a picture in, but I don't remember if I did. I know I took a picture on that quilt that I showed you one of the days that I had made, and I arranged them on the turquoise border and got a picture in daylight quite near a window, but it just seemed to make the whole thing look very blue. So I have them here, and I'm going to show you them again individually, and hopefully you can appreciate the colours. First, I'll show you the one I've had for a couple of years at least. I'm not sure how long. So this is the plaque I have already. Blue greens, my favourites. And these ceramic fish are made by a Jersey potter called Jane James. And She puts them onto, I assume she just glues them on. I'm not sure how, but she glues them onto driftwood. I'm not sure if this is driftwood or just sort of distressed plank of some kind. A distressed plank. Poor plank. It's got a hanging thing on the back. And so I've had this hanging in my dining room for quite some time. My sister sent it to me as a gift once because she knows I love these colours. And I had also admired Jane James's work while I had been in the island, but hadn't splurged. Because sometimes my logic takes over and I'm more of a sensible shopper rather than an impulsive one. But the day we went across the island, you will have seen, if you were watching a couple of days ago, you will have seen we went over to the east of the island where the castle is, Gorey Castle, or Montorgueil. And one of the little shops there is one of Jane James's shops. She has 2 or 3 outlets around the island. She wasn't working in the shop. And it wasn't all her stuff. There were some other Jersey artists' work in there. Oh, so lovely. There were some cards and some zipper pouches with puffins on. Oh, I loved the artwork on them, but I make zipper pouches. I just couldn't justify buying a zipper pouch with a puffin on it. But I did look at Jane's ceramic fish and I thought, do I buy another plaque like this with maybe different coloured fish on? And then as I'm looking around, I see this display of little sectioned off boxes with all these fish in different sizes and different colours. And I thought, that's perfect, because rather than buy something bulky that's going to take up a lot of room in my bag for the trip home, I could just buy some individual fish. So what I got, let's start with the bigger ones and work down to the smaller ones, shall we? I got 11 of them. I do love odd numbers. So let's see. So we have a rather lovely purple one with some almost a floral look to it. Certainly a textured one. And then this teal one, which has a bit of a dappled look to it. And then a purple one, which is kind of speckled. I have a lovely orange one, deep orange. And another turquoisey one. And a pink one. I'm trying to be careful not to hit these together and chip them. So I'm trying not to pick them up by the handful. A lovely deep blue. What would you call that colour? A bright sort of salmon orange. A speckly light blue. Another bluey gold one. And the baby of the bunch. This tiny yellowy one. So I put those together on the counter next to where the boxes of fish were. And I thought they all looked lovely together. And so what the plan is, I want to arrange them not quite like this. I think they kind of look nice in an arc going the other way to this. So when I find something, some driftwood or some sort of distressed plank again, I will have to glue them on and put a hanging loop on the back. I think that'll look fun. That was a bit of a splurge. That was my one souvenir of my visit, Jersey 2024. I hope I've been keeping up with all your comments properly, because YouTube Studio has changed the way I see things. Instead of comments, they've classified everything under a heading of community. So the page in my little YouTube Studio app, it looks completely different. Well, not completely different, a little bit different. And so when I go to look at comments I haven't responded to, sometimes I think, oh, I wonder if I'm missing anything. So hopefully I'm not. I do try and reply to all of them. I think I had to just click the heart button on some of them while I was away, because I was really limited on time. And as I said, I wanted to focus more on family than on YouTube if I could. But life is back to normal now. Work again tomorrow. And hopefully I'll be able to stay sufficiently awake. It's a late-ish shift, and I'm hoping that if I can keep busy, that I won't be feeling too jet-lagged. It was rather weird actually only going for a week and feeling that I never truly slotted into the UK time zone properly. And so I hope that because of that, I might slot back in to my BC time zone a bit more easily. I don't know. We'll see. Well, I think I've probably been talking long enough. It's nice being able to sit here in front of my yarn and fabric, back in the sewing room, and I already have a plan for a couple of things I want to sew this week. I'm looking forward to getting back to my sewing machine. I've seen a couple of ideas online that I want to put into practice. And I really need to pull out the Technicolor Dreamcoat and get going on the hood and the sleeves for that, because our make-along is still ongoing. There's still more than a month of it left. And I need to work on that because I really want it done to wear this winter, because it's bright and fun and warm. I can feel that the old brain is a little slower than usual today, so please excuse the fluffs and blurbs, fluffs and flurbs, whatever. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching again today. See you soon.